Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Tuesday. I hope the week has started well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. One day away now from Arsenal returning to action. Obviously, is Carabao Cup time this week. Arsenal away at Preston tomorrow night. Mikel Arteta will be speaking about that game at London Colney in his pre-match press conference a little bit later on today. So we'll be finding out a few updates on the likes of Gabriel, Martin Odegaard, Jurriën Timber, those sort of players. So we'll look ahead to that game in today's show. Got some starting 11s that you guys have sent in, so we'll discuss that. We're going to talk about Martin Odegaard, potentially good news on him and his return to fitness. Look at what Merino has been saying after his first Arsenal goal at the weekend, of course, in that draw against Liverpool. So plenty for us to get stuck into today. And we'll start on the news that Martin Odegaard is getting closer and could well, I say could well, we're not sure yet, but there is a hope that he might well get back out on the training pitch at some point this week, which will obviously be a big boost. Now, that's not saying he's going to return to action and going to be considered for selection for the game at Newcastle this weekend, for example. I highly doubt that would remotely be possible. But to see him back out on the pitch and start doing some work with the ball, if that happens, then that is obviously going to be a huge, huge boost to Arsenal. And it's another really important sort of marker on his return to fitness as he battles back from that ankle injury. It seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? That international break with Martin Odegaard was ruled out. Arsenal need him back desperately just to add a little bit more quality and attacking intent and creativity to this side. But you do also have to take things very, very calmly and easy with him as well. As much as it's going to be great to see him back out on the pitch, can't take any risks. Everything still has to be carefully managed to ensure that ankle is okay for him to start going into full contact sessions, for example, and doing everything that you need to do to be able to get the green light to return to Premier League. That sort of quick sort of turns that you have to do and all that pressure, that energy that goes through your ankle. Arsenal have to be sure that the ankle is ready to be able to stand up to that before he's even considered for selection. There's not many games to go now until the next international break. Thankfully, the final international break of 2024. Arsenal have obviously got the game against Preston at the week. Then you've got Newcastle, you've got Inter Milan, you've got Chelsea. And then we've got another international break on the horizon after that. And you do wonder if he's not deemed fit for any play between now and then surely he can't go on that international break, which obviously their Solback and the Norway coach has suggested that they are looking to try and include him in the squad. If he doesn't play any game time between now and then he surely cannot go away with Norway. If Arsenal put him on the bench, for example, for the Chelsea game, if he's available for selection right then, do Norway look at that and think, well, he's available on the bench there, we're going to take him away for Norway. So it might even be, as much as you want him back, it might actually be a smarter thing to do just to leave him out completely until after the international break, if you see what I mean. But it is good news. Sammy Montwell at the Mail reporting last night that he believed that he will be back if things go to plan between before now and the weekend. He will be back on the training pitch. So that will be great news. Also, the word on Gabriel and Jurriën Timber is fairly positive. We'll wait and see what Mikel Arteta has to say in his press conference today, if he does give an update on it at all. But certainly the early word is that there's nothing too serious with those two. Obviously, Jurriën Timber went off with what looked like cramp in the game against Liverpool, which is not surprising given he hadn't played for an awful long time, and he got to about the 70-minute mark and started to cramp up pretty badly, chasing Mo Salah back down that wing. Obviously, it looked a little bit more serious, or potentially more serious, with Gabriel, who went down looking like it was a knee problem, couldn't quite work it out. He just went down without any real challenge, which is always a worry inside. Got back up, tried to carry on, couldn't, almost had to be carried off by, or certainly helped off by David Raya and the physio. So that looked slightly more worrying. But again, the early suggestion is that it's nothing overly serious. Look, he's not going to play against Preston. I think that's pretty clear. But fingers crossed, there could well still be a chance he might be able to get ready for the Newcastle game, which would be huge. Obviously, you had the two centre-backs separate last weekend, didn't you? There was no Saliba and Gabriel together for the first time in a long time. You don't want to have to go to St James's Park and also have one of them back, but not the other. So it'd be a big boost if Gabriel can be fit. We'll wait to see what sort of update we get from Mikel Arteta on Gabriel, Timber and Odegaard a little bit later on today. I just wanted to touch on Oleksandr Zinchenko. Now, I think it's really, really interesting. In the last couple of games, obviously, he's been, well, I say he's been fit. We presume he's been fit because he's been on the bench. He's been training. And yet in these big, big games, Champions League match and then Liverpool away, Mikel makes a substitution, enforced, basically has to bring on a left back, and both times it is 18-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly, while Oleksandr Zinchenko, this very experienced international player who, along with Gabriel Jesus, was signed just a couple of years ago to really raise the level of this Arsenal squad and who made a big, big impact straight away. It's very interesting that now he appears, anyway, to be behind Miles Lewis-Skelly in the pecking order at Arsenal. And it does beg a real question in terms of what we're going to see from Zinchenko between now and the end of the season. I think it'll be really interesting against Preston tomorrow where he plays, because you would think, given he's not played for a while, Mikel will definitely want him to get minutes in this game, but he would also absolutely want Miles Lewis-Skelly to get minutes in this game. So you can't start them both at left back, obviously. It'll be very interesting if we finally get to see, potentially, Zinchenko playing a more advanced midfield role, because you could play Lewis-Skelly at left back and then you could play Oleksandr Zinchenko, say, in the Mikel Merino role, where we've seen him play in the last couple of games. It's a position that I think he's very, very good at, and he's shown that when he plays for Ukraine, but we've not seen it at Arsenal for whatever reason so far. And it would be good, I think, to see him play in that role against Preston. But sort of longer term, it does feel almost like a bit of a changing of the guard here. The fact that Zinchenko seems to be being overlooked for a teenage kid who not so long ago was a midfielder and not a left back certainly signals a bit of a fall down the pecking order for him. Now, I think we all expect that come the summer, if a good offer could come in for Zinchenko and Arsenal could find a move away, it probably be something they will look to do. And I certainly think the signs we've seen with Lewis-Skelly getting the nod ahead of him certainly points towards that even more, which, again, it's just a big, big shift, isn't it? It wasn't long ago that we were all hailing the arrival of Gabriel Jesus and Oleksandr Zinchenko and looking at the impact that they made initially when they first got into the team as complete game changers who had just taken Arsenal to another level. And then both of them, you're probably looking at, come the summer, if good offers come in, that Arsenal will quite happily wave them away. I mean, we did just hear actually the Palmeiras president, I think, was saying that they tried to sign Gabriel Jesus in the summer, but were knocked back by Arsenal, which is no surprise given they couldn't get the deal done over the line for Sesko. And once that didn't happen, they were never going to let Jesus go. But come the end of the season, you would think that might well be a stance that is changed if Arsenal do go out and sign themselves a striker. And yeah, shows how quickly football works, doesn't it? It moves on very, very quickly. And I think we're seeing that with Zinchenko now. But I still do think he's got a big part to play. Same with Gabriel Jesus, both of them. While they're still here, they've got a big part to play this season. And Arsenal are going to need them to play minutes, and a fairly decent number of minutes, to give others a rest in certain scenarios. So I still do think, while they might well be on their way out, and it's certainly beginning to look like that they've still got a big part to play while they are here. Right, Ballon d'Or, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see here the Arsenal quartet and their rankings in the Ballon d'Or ceremony, which was, of course, last night. 26 for Declan Rice, 24 for William Saliba, 21 for Bukayo Saka, and Martin Odegaard sneaking into the top 20, finishing at number 19. Rodri crowned the Ballon d'Or winner yesterday, much to the disgust of Real Madrid, who were due to have about 50 people flying over for the ceremony, I think, because they thought Vinicius Jr. was going to be crowned the Ballon d'Or winner. Once that news filtered through that it wasn't going to be him and that he was finishing second behind Rodri, every one of the Real Madrid delegation refused to go, didn't fly. So there was no Vinicius there. They all took to social media afterwards, sort of proclaiming Vinicius as the real winner. I have no issue with Rodri winning this award, I have to say. I always thought it was quite strange that it seemed like a given that Vinicius was going to win it. Look, Vinicius had an amazing season. Of course he did. Real Madrid won the Champions League yet again. They won the league over in Spain, and Vinicius was front and centre of that. It was fantastic. But I still think Rodri's a deserving winner. And I think the way that Real Madrid have handled this is just a real lack of class, I have to say. I mean, you can't win all the time. And if someone else is voted by others as a winner, I don't think you need to throw your toys out the pram quite as much as Real Madrid have done. I don't think this covers them in glory at all, especially as Rodri's a Spanish international. And obviously they're a big Spanish club. It just doesn't look great. I don't think they could have been a little bit more magnanimous in defeat. I mean, God, imagine if social media was around back in the days when Thierry Henry was at Arsenal and he somehow was overlooked for Pavel Nedved for the Ballon d'Or back then, and Arsenal would have had every right, I think, to refuse to have gone to the ceremony. Wouldn't have happened, of course. I think Arsenal got a little bit more class than that, but yeah, really surprised. And I do think Rodri's a deserving winner. I know it's never as it's defensive midfielders aren't exactly don't go hand in hand with these type of awards normally. But what he's done over the last couple of years, the consistency he's hit, the trophies he's won for international level, at club level with Manchester City. I mean, he went about 70 games without losing a match for Manchester City. So important to them. And they're going to miss him this season massively with that injury. And I think he's a deserving winner, I have to say. But clearly, a lot of people in Madrid don't agree with me. But there's the Arsenal quartet. So Declan Rice, 26th, Saliba, 24th, Saka, 21st, Martin Odegaard, 19th. It'd be nice to see if some of those move higher up the rankings in terms of next year's award. Just quickly on Mikel Merino, I thought Merino has been speaking again, and this made me laugh. What we were talking about yesterday with the whole narrative that has been spun around Arsenal and people trying to act like they've been using injuries as an excuse, which is the complete opposite to what they've and Mikel Arteta have actually done. I had my say on that, so I'm not going to go back into it in terms of the bit of a rant I went on yesterday in terms of Sky Sports coverage and everything like that. But Marino's been speaking about it after the game at the weekend, and he was asked again, are injuries, do you feel sorry for yourselves and injuries are excuse? He says, look, injuries are part of the game and they cannot be used as an excuse for results. Injuries have pros and cons. One of the pros is you're seeing young players make debuts and be involved. As a club, you want to bring young players through from the academy, give them opportunities, and you can see this is a club where everyone is going to do a really good job. Even though we don't have important players like Martin Odegaard available, when you are a group of winners, you cannot make excuses. You have to think about the things you can improve. If you start making excuses, you don't give credit to yourself. You have to deal with it, take the positives, get better. There are always going to be challenges with the physical and mental aspects of a long season, but this team is ready to overcome them. That's why we are disappointed we didn't take the 3 points against Liverpool, because the team deserved them. But we have to be positive about the way we played for most of the game. We will recover, we will regroup, watch the game again, and learn from the things we didn't do so good. In the future, we'll be a better team, a total team, and dominate the whole game. I just thought those are really good comments from Marino. He's obviously new to the team, but he is an elder statesman, if you like, in terms of he's 28, he's experienced, he's been around the block, he's played across different countries, he's an important member of the Spanish national squad, and he's got to walk into this squad and already be a bit of a leader. And I think those comments show the type of player he is and type of mentality he's got. And again, it just makes a mockery of some of the rubbish we've seen written and spoken in the last week or so in terms of Arsenal and how they've been using these injuries. I just don't understand it. I said it yesterday. I still don't understand it. I thought those were really good comments from Marino, who, by the way, as I said yesterday, had such a good game against Liverpool. And he's going to have a big part to play in a really crucial week ahead for Arsenal, starting at the weekend, obviously, against Newcastle. Talking about ridiculous referees and their decisions yesterday, Michael Oliver, what have you done? What have you done with that VAR decision, West Ham against Man United, giving West Ham that late penalty that meant that Man United lost, and now a day later, Erik Ten Hag gets sacked. It ends. They've finally brought an end to it. What have you done, Michael Oliver? This is your fault. This was a draw. If it ended in a draw, maybe Ten Hag would still be in a job, and we could have been able to enjoy it just for a little bit longer. Obviously, I'm jesting. I'm joking. No disrespect to Erik Ten Hag. It's always sad when someone loses their job. But quite how he managed to stay in it for as long as he did, I will never know. Man United's decision in the summer to stick with him, not only stick with him, but give him a new contract, is just one of the most baffling things I've ever seen. It did not take an expert, and I am by no means an expert, but it didn't take an expert to see that was badly going wrong. And Erik Ten Hag was not the man who was going to turn things around at Manchester United. So quite how they came to the decision to give him a new deal, having spent the whole summer looking at other managers, I just will never know. But he's gone. It's the end of the Erik Ten Hag era. United obviously making that call. Looks like they're going to be getting Amorim in from Sporting, which would be an exciting capture for them. Obviously been a lot of suggestions that he might well be the man to take over from Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. So if United have swooped in there early and got him on board, that will be as I said, a bit of a coup for them. Exciting young manager, done brilliant things at Sporting. They've had a really good start to the season once again. Quite handy for Arsenal maybe to disrupt Sporting ahead of the game and get in the Champions League in a few weeks' time, because they have started really well, and that's going to be a really difficult game over there in Lisbon. So we'll wait and see how that pans out. But yeah, I just, it baffles me how Ineos have walked through the door and decided to stick with Ten Hag for as long as they did. It was really, really baffling, and it is a shame. from an Arsenal point of view, I think that Erik Ten Hag's gone, because I think whoever steps through the door at Old Trafford next is going to, you would think, at least steady that ship and get them back on the right path again. So yeah, it's a shame from an Arsenal point of view, but I think it was a decision that 100% needed to be done. Right, moving on, a couple of comments from you guys. We've got two starting 11s here for the game against Preston tomorrow. I'll go through my sort of suggestions for that in the show in the morning after we've heard what Mikel Arteta has had to say later on today. But Jerry has got in touch, and this is his lineup for Preston. Says Miles Lewis-Skelly. I presume that is at fullback. You've got Kivior and Saliba, Nichols. You've got Nichols at left back and Lewis-Skelly at right back there, haven't you? I think, presuming that's the opposite way around. You've got Jorginho, Zinchenko, Nwaneri in the middle, in midfield. Sorry, Sterling, Jesus and Martinelli. Premonizer has got Porter in goal. I don't think it'll be Porter. I think it'll be Tommy Setford in goal. Tomorrow you've got Nichols right back, White, Kivior, Lewis-Skelly, Jorginho and Merino, Nwaneri, Saka, Jesus and Martinelli. No way that Saka starts that game. Absolutely no chance. It'll be Raheem Sterling will certainly be starting that game. So interesting teams from you. You've got Aaron here, who's also got in touch and says, with so many injuries in the back line, how do you think our defence will line up against Preston? We have Newcastle, Inter and Chelsea game all the way coming up. So I definitely think Arteta will rotate players. Expect a lineup of Skelly, Kivior, Saliba and White, and sub off Saliba and White early for the league game. Nwaneri will have a big role to play for the upcoming game as well. I mean, I think Josh Nichols will certainly play at right back for this game. I think you'll have Lewis-Skelly at left back. Kivior will play probably Saliba, just because he did get a rest in midweek. At the weekend. Obviously, he didn't play. I don't really see who else you're going to be playing. Maybe you can play Ben White there, but I think probably because Saliba didn't play, he will get the nod. And like you said, will get withdrawn early. In terms of who else will play in midfield, like I said, I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth tomorrow, but Jorginho will certainly come in. Nwaneri, we know, will definitely start. Trossard might play. I think Jesus will definitely start up front. Sterling will play on the right. So I think it's going to be a mixture of those sort of players. Zinchenko, I think, will definitely see a midfield, actually. So I reckon maybe it might be a Jorginho, Zinchenko and Nwaneri midfield, something like that. But we might get a little bit more of a clue from Mikel Arteta a little bit later on at his press conference, which I think starting at 3:30 p.m. UK time. I need to double check that at the end of this video when once I finish. But I think it's 3:30 p.m. that it gets underway, so a little bit later than usual. Right, that's it from me today. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Appreciate it as always. I'll be back in the morning to do it all over again. As I said, we'll be really previewing that Preston game, going over what Mikel Arteta has had to say at his press conference, doing my predicted 11. You want to get involved in that show, anything you want me to discuss, you know the drill by now. Get down into the comments, leave your comment, your opinion, your question. I'll pull some of them together and get them included in the show. Until then, have a great Tuesday, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.